Welcome back. We are here to discuss episode 4 of The Bad Batch, and pretty excited to do this. Of course, you've got Dom and Ethan. How's it going?
Good man. What's up?
Things are going pretty good. Glad it's the weekend.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
yeah, so we decided today we'll do things live. Um, you know, I think for the most part we've been doing kind of pre-record stuff for these breakdowns, but every once in a while we might just mix it up, and sometimes we might get a little bit of audience participation. But kind of hard to say right now because I know not everyone has seen it, so it could definitely be more of a case where people are tuning in for the replay, and that's cool too. But in either case, guys, continue to support us here on the channel. Subscribe to the channel, leave us a like, leave us a comment, let us know your thoughts and theories on this episode or just going forward in the series. And of course, you can find us as well on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, all those platforms. So we appreciate you guys and thanks for tuning in. But yeah, why don't we go over this breakdown? Did you want to give some initial thoughts on just the episode in general?
Um, nothing crazy. I really liked the episode. We got Fennec Shan, which we'll talk about a bit more. So I think we're all expecting that to for her to show up at some point. And so that's kind of what this episode is revolving around, kind of just adding another layer to what the Bad Batch is going to be having to deal with throughout the series.
Yeah, and I feel like they kind of pointed her out a couple times in the trailers too.
Yeah.
But for me, I really enjoyed the episode as well, and visually, I liked a lot of the scenes that we got, and we'll talk about some of them, especially towards the end, and kind of some maybe you could say Easter eggs or just callbacks to some of the other films. But yeah, why don't we get right into it? So we start out here. Echo informs the team that they're kind of being tracked and they're wanted. So they need to pretty much land immediately so they can clear their code. And the other issue that they're having too is that they're running out of food, like supplies and fuel. So, and and credits to get that stuff. So that's pretty much the main priority, especially for Hunter and Omega, as we see that we land on Pantora, and this was awesome because this is a place that you and I are familiar with, and everyone else who has seen the Clone Wars and remembers this place from the Clone Wars. But really cool planet. Also kind of funny. I pointed it out in our Clone Wars season 1 review, but you know it's like Pantora, and then there's also Pandora from Avatar the movie, and then um, probably no coincidence that they're also blue people who inhabit the planet. But yeah, I thought it was cool that we were going back to this place, and I was actually thinking that we might see like Senator Chuchi, I believe it is, again, but we didn't really see anybody that we knew before from this planet. But it was still pretty cool nonetheless. And so they land on Pantora, and at the landing pad, I would say it's probably like the manager of the landing pad, um, the guy that's kind of like overseeing things. He's paid off by Tech and Echo so that he doesn't have to scan the ship, right? And and so yeah, so they pay him off, and he ends up informing someone anyway, and that's none other than Fennec Shand, who we know from Mandalorian season 1 and 2. Um, so obviously this is really interesting. Again, we knew that she was coming in, um, but now we're it kind of piques our interest in like what role is she playing, and so we'll get more into that here in just a minute. But um, she is of course after Omega, and so that's kind of starting to become clear. But Hunter and Omega try to trade stuff for credits, and they leave behind a disguised Echo, um, and he's like in this robotic suit that we see here, and I thought that was really interesting too. And they end up kind of like pulling a fast one on the buyer so that they can get credits, and of course,
They did
Echoes.
him real dirty.
Yeah. Yeah. They're just gonna run out later. But, what were your thoughts so far on these scenes returning to Pantora, um, seeing how Fennec comes into play?
Well, I think we've talked about Pantora a lot, and it's been brought up in Clone Wars as definitely like we've seen Sanders from there, and we've seen a lot of kind of a story revolving around it. But I don't know. It's really nice to actually see what this planet's like. So yeah, I thought it was cool just showing up here and kind of seeing how different it is from because we saw an ice planet that was very similar to Hoth, um, and that's um, yeah, that's kind of how it ended up being. But I don't know. I think it's kind of funny to see where they actually live and just how like different their surroundings are compared to like what we've seen them try and inhabit in the Clone Wars. So I thought it was kind of just gave more context to this universe.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing like the city of Pantora before in the Clone Wars. Maybe we did, but definitely when we first see the planet, um, we kind of see it in like a state of like very similar to Hoth, and like just like huge fields of snow, basically, um, and like an ice planet. But yeah, so it was cool to see this side of the planet. So, anyways, Hunter and Omega, they leave behind Echo, as we mentioned, and Omega gets lost and is soon found by Fennec. And then Hunter catches up with them, and Fennec starts shooting at him. Omega is able to run away, and now Fennec's after her. So Fennec catches her, and he she takes. Um, oh, before that, Wrecker tries to intercept and also stop Fennec, but he gets taken out pretty easily too, which is kind of crazy. And then Fennec catches Omega, who is hanging from this tower. She's able to come in here and catch her before she falls. And then um, Hunter, he's like on his way. He just stole a speeder. He's on his way to intercept as well. And then um, Fennec and Omega fall to this other transport. And so this is like the start of this pretty awesome chase scene that we see. And I felt like it was really reminiscent of Attack of the Clones and the scene that we get with the chase that we get with Obi-Wan and Anakin going after her name is Sam, that bounty hunter, the changeling. But yeah, what
Yeah,
were your
for sure.
thoughts, so far on the chase, like we mentioned here?
Yeah, I definitely think, and we kind of mentioned it last week that there is stuff kind of going back to you know just a lot of movie references and scenes that are very similar. So this
Yeah,
was
like last
similar.
week it was Empire.
Yeah,
You
Empire.
know, it kind of reminded us of like the Minox on the Falcon.
Exactly. So yeah, I think kind of like what you said, this is very reminiscent of Attack of the Clones. So it was really nice to see this scene. I thought it played out very well. But yeah, I thought it just went really well. It was a pretty good, well like choreographed scene. Like it made a lot of sense, like the way the fight ended and the way it played out. So yeah, I was really satisfied with it. I think the visuals worked really good, and kind of just seeing like these speeder chases are really cool, especially when it's not like on Coruscant where you're like 100, like where you're like a mile in the sky or something like that. So it was really cool to kind of see this, and yeah, I thought it played out really well and kind of got to showcase Fennec a bit more, which we haven't seen too much of. Um, but yeah, I thought it worked out really well, and the scene really fit in with this whole episode.
Yeah, in general, I mean, this episode, there's not a whole lot to it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
on the one end, Tech and Echo, they're trying to fix the ship, and then um, Hunter and Omega, they were trying to get some credits, but then got caught up in this chase and cornered by Fennec, and she's not trying to, let them get away, and she wants to obviously take Omega with her, but yeah, so there's not a whole lot, to this episode. I thought it was really good, and we're approaching like kind of the last couple scenes here, but it's pretty straightforward. Um, but yeah, so essentially, what happens is Hunter is able to like blow up like one of the exhaust ports on the speeder, and then he also throws um, like a I'd
it's
say
like
like
a
a
mine,
mine,
kind of like a bomb. Yeah, like a
yeah,
sticky grenade.
and he he blows up her speeder, but she saw it coming too, so Fennec jumped down to the ground and to safety
Yeah,
just in time. And of course, Hunter swoops in, grabs Omega. They get back to the ship, and they're all able to fly off. Well, then Fennec, of course, goes back to this guy. We don't know his name, but the guy at the landing pad, who's kind of like in cahoots with her. And he thought that you can tell like he's pretty scared of her, and he thinks that um, she's probably gonna kill him, but um, she's just like, I think she gives him like some credits and says, "Let me know if they
yeah,
come back because I'm not done chasing after them." So that was really interesting. Also, yeah, I think it's important for us to note that, I mean, Fennec Shan, like she's pretty ruthless, and you
yeah,
know she is definitely a very experienced bounty hunter. Um, we see her taking out like these. They're basically like police officers. She's taking them out.
yeah,
She's thrown them off of. She's throwing random people off their cruisers.
yeah, yeah. It's insane.
Yeah,
I thought it was definitely funny to kind of like see that in contrast to being like, okay, I'll give this guy some credits, and but I think it really goes with the character and kind of just suits like their motive in a way as to like this is kind of their job. Like it wouldn't really help. So I definitely think she's one of the smarter bounty hunters that we've seen. That's not like as just like chaotic with everything, but
yeah.
I think it really just adds to her character as to she's just trying to get this bounty in. So
And I mean, she's super interesting, and of course, um, really experienced, especially with combat and everything too. And it's just great to see that this transition from um, a lot of times we see it from animated and then to the big screen like we did with Ahsoka, but now it's the opposite. We're
yeah,
seeing her from live action um, now to animated, and of course it's um, still voiced by Ming Na Wen, which all the props to her. She does
yeah.
a great job in both, and also I think I knew it, but just forgot that she's the original voice of Mulan. Did you know
Oh,
that?
really?
Yeah,
I did not know that. I knew
so pretty
her.
cool.
She's a really good actress. I knew her from I think Agents of Shield was like one of the main ones that she was also in, like a bigger show. But yeah, I think she's a really good actress, and I think it's interesting to see go from live action to animated. But I think it kind of just suits Dave Filoni's like vision of it all, like to give more context to these characters in the different ways that are possible. So I think it's cool that he's using Bad Batch as a way to do that, which is probably going to be very. I think it's going to happen a lot going forward with characters like that, just because, especially like the hardcore fans like us, are definitely going to be picking up on that stuff in the animated series. So I think it's cool just to give extra context in different ways to those characters that doesn't usually happen, especially in that order that we talked about. So yeah, I think it's cool, and I think this kind of format that they have is going to happen a lot going forward with new characters that they add in. Not even just in Mandalorian; it can be in just other series. So
Yeah, and again, she's just super talented. Also, something that's really crazy too. I don't know if you knew this, but um, I mean, she's doing all kinds of stunts, like her own stunts and everything in Mandalorian. This woman is 57 years old, and she does not look it or sound like it either. It's just
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, she's insane. She
Yeah.
was doing a lot of choreography, like for a lot of movies in general too that she's been in, or like shows. Like that's why I instantly thought of like Agents of Shield, because she that wasn't crazy long ago, and she was doing crazy choreography for stuff like that.
Oh, I didn't realize she was in that. That's cool.
Yeah,
So yeah, very talented actress, really great character as well. Excited to learn more about her. Um, and so yeah, that's how the episode closes out. You know, with her definitely making a point that she's not done chasing after Omega. And so maybe we can do a little bit of like speculation on where that is headed, as far as like who do we think hired Fennec. Um, I know some some speculation online has been that um, Fennec and Boba are working together even right now, and that they're both hired by the Kaminoans to get back Omega, and then also that Omega is in fact, like we talked about last week, this the next phase for the clones, and that she is going to be that enhanced clone that is then like copied for like the next what they're calling phase 3 of clones. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it makes sense to see Boba and Fennec kind of interacting like at this stage. Um, it's kind of curious to see what Boba's like, who he's actually like with right now. But yeah, I think it'd be cool to see them together. I think it'd make a lot of sense to have him in the series, um, because I do think his relationship with clones was always interesting, like especially throughout Clone Wars. Like I thought it was always funny to kind of see that and like his viewpoint on it. So I think it'd be cool to kind of explore that and see him just get more done, especially leading up to Book of Boba Fett. I think it would be cool to see him more, because I definitely think they're trying to build his character out a bit more than he has been. Which, to be honest, he hasn't a whole lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that we've seen more of him in animated at this rate than we've seen of him in live action. So I think it'd be cool to kind of just add more to the character and give him more to kind of lean back on, especially between this relationship between him and Fennec, going into Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, he would still have to be a teenager at this point too, I believe. Um, but yeah, that is interesting how you talked about, you know, this weird relationship that he has with clones, and the thought of being a clone too, because I feel like what we've learned about him is kind of um, I don't think he fully sees himself as that because of how Django adopted him as like his own, and that's kind of what remember. But yeah, it'll be really interesting because I do think that they'll probably tie him into the Bad Batch series, and then um, people are also saying that Omega will end up being in the Book of Boba Fett series that we'll get in December. Do you think that's a definite possibility?
I don't know if it's definite, to be honest, but I definitely think it's a cool idea.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so another thing, that I think we wanted to mention is again going back to that thought of are the Kaminoans the ones who hired Fennec to do this? I think that would make a lot of sense. And, you know, I really enjoyed our review last week with our friend Ryan, um, who brought out how he really thinks that it's going to be kind of the Kaminoans and kind of like going against the Empire, even if it's kind of behind the scenes, which is it's what it appears to be a little bit, right? Like Lamasu and Nalase, they're kind of having their conversations with Tarkin, but they're also having their own private conversations because they understand that the Empire does want to move away from having clones. It's a heavy cost for them, and also they're envisioning a future where they can just get more and more human recruits and have them be trained really well, and then still keep strong loyalty to the empire. So um, that's something that they're not really wanting because this is their business, right? And their livelihood, and so yeah, I think that's why they they probably did hire Fennec so that they can get Omega back and start this new phase and their plans and hopefully keep the Empire continuing to do business, keeping them around.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I think it's a really good idea to kind of just show how the Kaminoans are trying to keep this alive because this is their business. This war was their like livelihood. This is kind of what they're built on is this cloning. So I think it's important to see them trying to savor that and keep this going even through a new empire.
Yeah, definitely. Again, this is a pretty short episode, not a whole lot more that um, I don't think we want to say, but maybe we can kind of give some final thoughts here. Also, another thing that I remember is like last week we got the impression that there's something going on with Wrecker, but we didn't really see anything because he hit his head, or at least he said that he hit his head pretty hard from the chip.
Yeah, yeah,
Who knows? Maybe he actually didn't, and maybe he was just wanting to stick around so that he could make that room for Omega. But I think more than likely he actually did hit it, and there's something that's starting to go wrong. But
yeah. We
also,
kind of we kind of didn't see anything revolving around that in this episode, so it definitely leaves us kind of wondering.
yeah. But at the same time, could that have played into his um, his fight with Fennec and her being able to take him out so quickly? Like, it is there something wrong there?
He also
What do you
hit his
think?
head on like an electrical box or something like that, so it could have just messed it up more. Who
Yeah, that's what
knows?
I was thinking too. But do you think that might have played a part in that interaction that he had?
I feel like it might have, but I also think Fennec is just a very like a good foe, and so I think kind of using that just to give her more power as a character makes more sense too. But I also think there would have been more things like leading to that or like subtleties within that fight if it did have an effect.
Yeah, those some good points for sure. For sure. Well, did you have any final thoughts on the episode? Any more theories or speculation as we start to wrap things up here?
No theories or anything like that. I don't think we were given too much. I liked Echo in this episode. I thought he had a really sick outfit. I thought it was kind of funny how they're using him as a droid. But
Are you getting kind
yeah,
of tired of this? Like, I mean, I don't think it's that bad, but kind of these just like side missions, so to speak.
not really. Like I do get somewhat annoyed, but like I'm also glad that it's all part of the same story. Like it's not like Clone Wars. Like it's the same story. It's just in a different format. So I'm okay with it just because I feel like these are things that need to be addressed. Like they literally on just have like on a whim they dipped out of Camino and they don't have that much. Like I think it makes sense that they have to go do this stuff. So I think getting them set up for this journey makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Well, all right. Yeah, my final thoughts, I guess just slightly annoyed. Um I mean, I don't know, maybe not even really annoyed. Just I do feel like sometimes I want more, especially cuz I think the first episode was just really really solid. And also maybe it's a case of them kind of spoiling us with like an hour long episode too, you know. And then now we're going to 25 minutes and it's kind of like, oh, they're landing on another random planet, having more more problems with their ship, that sort of thing. I mean, that's kind
Yeah,
of what the situation has been in the last two episodes. So um I can understand that, you know, some gripe there, but
I think this episode is useful though, and I think each episode is kind of giving us something at the same time. Like last episode, we got to see Crosshair, and kind of his deal at the moment. And this episode, we
yeah.
kind of get to see Fennec and get have her introduced. So I think either way, it's something moving the story forward.
Yeah, it definitely is. And because I don't really like to completely just call stuff filler,
Yeah, for sure.
because it's still like you said, moving the story forward. Um, they're kind of just playing the long game because they know that they can stretch it out because there's 16 episodes, and that's what they're doing. They're just stretching it out. That's what they want to do. That's the plan that they have set. So that makes sense. But all right, yeah, overall, I think we both really enjoyed it and are still enjoying the series. Still,
As
real,
always.
yeah, really hopeful for what's to come. Excited for what's to come and uncovering more of these secrets because um, I think there's going to be a lot more big reveals again about who Omega really is, what she's really capable of. And then it's just going to be great to see her character progression and like where she ends up. Like, again, we related to like the character of Ahsoka and just um, the the amazing character that she ended up being and going from someone really young to more experienced and really skilled and wise as well. So yeah, excited to see that from Omega as well. But yeah, I think that's gonna pretty much wrap up our episode 4 review. We will be back soon. What else do we have in the works? Anything
We
noteworthy?
we have we're gonna be trying to do some game stuff at some point. I think we talked about that. Kind of
Oh
figuring
yeah,
that out as to what
uh,
games and everything. Right.
yeah. Well,
Uh,
we're gonna do another trivia as
yeah,
well.
exactly. Yeah,
We're gonna do another trivia.
and that's gonna be
I wanna
somewhat sooner, hopefully. Yeah.
I wanna try and do it next Wednesday. So that's kind of the tentative plan there. So we'll see.
All right.
And then we also do have something in the works, really exciting that we will be sharing very soon as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, our second game night, trivia night number two, I think will be next Wednesday, and we'll probably do that live as well. So stay tuned for that. And of course, next week we will also do the episode 5 review of Bad Batch. But that's going to do it for us here tonight. And so we appreciate you guys listening and
As
watching
always.
us on the replay. Continue to support us here on the channel. Again, subscribe if you're not. And you can support us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify too. So thanks again, guys. We'll be back soon, but we're signing out here at the Starfighter Podcast.